but we still need to do something as a temporary solution. Bearing in mind we did have one child have an accident on the mugger, which ended up with a fractured arm, I believe.
Yes.
But clearly that is likely to happen, and Owen did a very nice letter back to the parent concerned. No action is going to be taken, but Owen and I both recognise that we ought to be logging these as a responsible council.
So logbook for any accidents.
An accident book.
Effectively, and indeed what we have done about it, or if there isn't anything done, at least demonstrate that we have investigated the potential to do something. Colin Owen spoke to the people that supplied the mugger, and clearly short of building the thing in rubber, there's not a lot else you can do about it, and I think we have to face that.
Their comment, just so you know, the Sutcliffe said to me that if they had considered putting rubber sort of cladding around the outside, the extremity of the framework, but it wasn't weatherproof. And where they'd done it and tested it, it hadn't worked. So they were still of the opinion that the way it is now is the right way to have it, even though there is always that slight risk that somebody will bang onto a metal. And but he said, you can't remove all risks.
We've got metal, exposed metal on all the other equipment, and it's a risk that we have to recognise.
Could we put a sign up, just take care of something?
I believe that is there not a sign somewhere that equipment is used at, if we haven't, perhaps we ought to consider that all play equipment is used at the
owner's risk.
At the user's risk.
Yes.
I think that should be at the end of the screen.
Yes, at the very entrance to the
I'd be very careful about putting notices up like that.
Would you?
Play equipment, yeah, I would. I don't think the insurers would like it very much, to be honest.
Oh, wouldn't you?
No, I don't think they would actually. I'll ask them. I've asked this question before about taking precautionary measures, but you're actually sort of highlighting something rather than dealing with it when it happens. And I will investigate it again.
Said we'll put signs on the beach saying beware of the sea.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But I will investigate it, Ben. You're right to raise it, and I will ask the question again.
It was sensible.
All I will say is that going back to my working days, when we were building things and we had to put up sort of hoardings, and you had deep holes and all the rest of it, and we put signs up to say deep holes, beware, blah blah blah, do not do this, do not do that. If somebody subsequently climbed over the hoarding, fell in a hole and had an accident, the contractor remains liable. So it's not a case of just saying I remove all my liability by putting a notice on.
Just ask them to be more careful.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
We can ask the care to be taken.
Yeah.
John, before we go on, do we need to think about getting on Andy to have another look at the touching up?
Subsequent to our last meeting, I saw Andy, and he has got it on his list, and I asked him particularly that the staging on the sort of metal trim trail should be stained, which is what we want. And he will slot it in sort of more or less now.
Yeah, but was
see
it more the touching up where we had the painted?
Well, that's got to be done. He's got to fit it in at the time when no children. There's no children.
Well, summer holidays are coming.
3 o'clock in the morning school.
It's going to be upon us shortly. Whether we defer it till the autumn.
Well, perhaps we should contact. Will you contact?
Yeah, I'll contact.
And tell him to contact me too.
The monthly annual report from GB Sports, that's been circulated. I think the key issue in that is how many majors or significant items of risk were there? None. So I think we're okay on that.
We will be getting an annual report that has already been done, so it's being prepared as we speak. So that will be, we won't get that now until September.
It's my turn to have the book, and
it is, Brian, and you're very welcome.
Who did the annual inspection this year? Was it GB Sports, or did they get somebody else?
Well, they get somebody else, but they mastermind it, so we.
I presume, Peter, nothing on flood mitigation?
Yeah, no, the only thing is I noticed, I hope that the, the brew people, brew trainees, don't pack in between the tan gutter, because that is really seriously overgrown. Although we've diverted the Hill Lane
Right.
from the corner across the
Yeah.
road to Bodies Lane, all down through the village. That, I've noticed when we get rain, that fills up, so it's still accommodating the drainage of all the properties and the roadway that goes from Ivyclad Hall down to the bottom of the old manor. So
Would that be under
Still on the
their
list to be doing.
it's still
Yeah,
on the
it's
list
still
to
gonna
tick
be
the
done
list,
every
just
year.
that they don't forget them.
Well, we'll keep Kevin monitor that to make sure that any future work is done.
Yeah, should be coming up soon.
Parish surgery and police matters.
Well, we had one or two features today, which is quite encouraging. They weren't all to do with the subject we perhaps thought they might be. In fact, it's quite a variety of subjects actually. The ladies came from East Ryde, Manor Ryde area, to say that there was a problem still looming in East Ryde, where we had the problems a few years ago, you know, where we had the animals and so forth being perhaps concern over environmental issues. Apparently now the issue has turned to a parking issue because there's a sort of hammerhead there, and apparently there's a caravan mobile home and vehicles being parked on that hammerhead, which means that of course there is an obstruction, so anybody wants to turn around, they can't do so.
Lots of dogs.
Lots of dogs.
Well, David, we have confirmed this, we both went over that head. I mean, it's a sheer mess. We've been complaining about it for 15 years. We've had the RSPCA twice, we've had the environmental health up twice. I've just been in touch with the RSPCA in London, who are about as much use as a chocolate sausage. I think Sin was going to ring up, and environment health don't want to know.
I think the issue now is one of exterior to the property,
Yeah.
and we've now got vehicles.
Almost the whole roadway outside.
So I think we ought to bring it to the attention of highways.
Well,
Try that.
it's the police, really.
Well, you say the police, but they'll say refer to the highways. I don't know whether it's.
Motorhome.
Yeah, but
I'll contact both. I'll
Yeah.
contact PC Wills and also the highways and see whether between them they can come up with some sort of solution to the parking outside the parameters of the property. Clearly we can't deal with issues within the property boundary.
It's almost an environmental issue, I think.
Well, there is rubbish everywhere.
It's awful,
Banks of rubbish.
absolutely frightful. And the dog barks and has been barking now solidly, day and night, 6 weeks.
I'm sure you can.
It's very, I don't know, I should stress not particularly, but the dog is clearly not happy. Clearly.
And we also had Pauline Chapman came in from the Manor House, concerned about generally about hedges. Her concern was not a specific hedge, but a general problem in the village of hedges being overgrown to pavers in various locations.
Yeah.
And I did point out to her that we are trying to deal with them by letter. Once we know who they are and once we've got an address and a name, we can write to them. But whether they do anything about it, of course, is a whole different ballgame. At the moment, we've been quite successful because the letters we have written seem to have motivated people into doing something. But I said we will continue to look at all the hedges, you know, if they're reported to us.
We can only try, can't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't think there's any police present with this.
There was no police presence actually.
There is, sorry, going back to the hedge, there is one just below where I live. We've mentioned this before, 2 or 3 years ago. 2 ladies live there. So it's really bad. And it does encroach over onto the path. It's about number 145, something like that.
What's your number?
Would it be, I'm just going to make a suggestion, I don't know whether it's a good idea, perhaps if one member of the council and myself, perhaps during August, we could just walk around the village and look at the hedges generally and just make a note of them so we know which ones are the problem ones. 'Cause at the moment, there's so many, some of them are in bad shape, some of them are actually encroaching the pavement, although they're in good shape. I mean, one of the things that was pointed out this afternoon was, in Manor Ryde, there's one hedge there which is in very well-tended condition, but well-tended condition halfway across the footway. So therefore, what do we do about that? They're looking after it, but they're looking after it on public footway.
Mine's
So
mine's as well well
attended.
attended, but over the footpath, and I got a letter. I remember Bob delivered it. Yeah.
That is
So I took it out.
That's the problem in these practices.
Well, I'm happy to do that.
Well, Denny was saying again, following on from Owen's comments, I mean, periodically we put reminders in the BKM, which might be worth doing both, but just to remind people if we've got a hedge next to a pavement or street signs, because again they have replaced the 30-mile-an-hour repeater sign that was broken on Brent Street that we reported last time, but you can't actually see it from one direction because it's covered by a hedge. So I think it's easy sometimes to forget the other side of the hedge when you've got a pavement or a street sign. Just remind people to check it out if they've got one, and if there is.
Yeah, okay. Maybe that's the first step.
Mr. Chairman, could I, while we're on notices and BKM, can I ask that people are reminded about bonfires in hot weather, particularly what's been going on today must have really upset
Mid-afternoon bonfires.
And it's a bit unsociable in hot weather, in particular when people have got their windows open or they're sitting in the garden.
Doing the washing.
Yeah.
September is the next issue of BKM, which means that effectively we're going to put an article in, that's the next time we'll be ready.
Well, fair
That's the
enough.
trouble. The other issue is, are there any local rules on bonfires?
No.
There aren't, no. We've gone into this before.
Yeah, we do. There's
Yeah,
definition.
There's certainly rules on what you burn, and when you see black smoke coming out, it's definitely not wood. Usually plastic.
Right, anything on your side?
No, nothing actually.
Or
No,
matters?
nothing on the car matters. As far as
Right,
I'm
okay.
concerned. You
Correspondence
saw the
received.
correspondence that went through, I don't know whether it's all come back in. This was one to do with the accident. This is the one that's Stanley's accident. Got that one here. Do I have all the others? I don't think I have the others back. They were going around the table.
Have you got any correspondence on the table, ladies?
Just horrible reading.
Mr. Harper,
There
Councillor
was-
Harper had it last.
No, that's right. Let's have a look at my agenda a minute.
There was, Mr. Chairman, there was one on Crooked Lane.
Yes.
Somebody said the sharp edges across the top
Yes.
layer had washed
Yes,
away.
that's right. Yeah.
I will speak to Gary Pope and see if we can get the roller back down there, just to go over the
What
surface.
material did they use, Colin?
They used everything.
Crushed.
I didn't know whether it was type 1, because it would be strange to have so
No,
much
it's
crockery
it's
of type 1.
recycled.
It is
Recycled.
recycled.
No, it's crushed.
Yeah, it is a bit crappy.
Now, on the correspondence received, we haven't included the recent email from
Mrs. Champion.
No,
Mrs. Champion.
so that will need to come before us next time around. So yes, I'll add that to
Oh,
the
yeah.
agenda. If we have to have a planning meeting in August, which is quite possible we might have to, and at the moment there are no plans as far as I can see, but if we did have to have an August planning meeting, then we can pick up one or two bits and pieces at that meeting, should that situation arise. I mean, things like correspondence and things, they don't necessarily have to wait till September. It's a correspondence item. We did have a letter of thanks about the play equipment being painted by, I think it was George, wrote to us. Saying he thought that it made a massive improvement to the look of the play areas. So it's nice to get a little bit of good news, isn't it, sometimes?
I think the most significant thing is if you drive past the village hall and look right, you can actually see the play equipment, and it actually looks attractive. And I would draw your attention to do a similar thing in our next village along, and compare the two. I think it's made a hell of an improvement. It's good.
Right,
Finance and
finance. Basically, there are two sets of financial figures this month because we've got to make arrangements to pay the August payments as we normally do when we don't have another meeting. So we've got statutory payments of £1,414. These are JP Mayer, Tax, Clark and GB Sports. And that same amount applies to the post-dated ones for August, okay? Because we don't have a meeting in August, technically. Then we have an EON account for 2nd of June, 26.59, and an office expenses period for the April to June time frame of 191.34. So we've got effectively
4 payments.
Four agreements, if you like, 4 payment types. Which we need a resolution.
Can I have a proposal that we agree to accept those payments? I think Bob was proposing, Colin was second. All those in favour?
Payments. We, I don't know if you saw the note that went through Community Trust Banking about charges.
Yes.
I wrote back to them because they'd taken a year when we had an inward grant of £50,000, which had obviously upped our sort of banking limits, and taken that as a reason to charge us, give us, charging periods monthly, in addition to charging us per transaction. So I've written back to the guy that I deal with there, and he said, you're not the first to actually raise this matter. We've had quite a number, so we are actually looking at it. I did point out, as you know from my letter, that a lot of parish councils came to the Unity Trust route because of recommendations from other parish councils. I said, if you upset one or two, you're going to upset an awful lot. So I would urge you to take a decision.
Mr. Chairman, I noticed that we seem to write an awful lot of cheques. I don't know if Unity Bank offer internet banking, but that may well be the cheaper way to go.
It's the way forward, particularly if we were going to be charged for cheques. If they come back and say, well, there's no difference, then it doesn't really make a lot of odds. What it would require is that two or three members of the parish council would have to have a PIN number, so that when we make payments as we agreed tonight, so tomorrow morning, for example, when I make payments, I would have to go online, and then you'd have to correspondingly, 2 people go online at the same time and put a PIN number in, because otherwise it wouldn't be passed.
There's no other way.
There is no other way at the moment, not with parish councils and town councils.
The only way of doing it would be to get over that problem. If it's only 2 people and fellow councillors are happy with that, I would suggest that when Owen comes up to do the meeting, he goes to one of us and we sit down at a computer and do it then.
Yes, we could do that.
Because I know that's how it's done in big companies.
That could be done that way. I'm sure there are other ways of solving the problem.
Without wishing to rain on that, the only difficulty is you'd be signing it before the committee and actually agree to pay.
Well, there must be a way of doing it, but it is very much like the nuclear, launching the nuclear missile. You have to have somebody with one half of the code and another one with half the code, and you both have to have them inserted and pressed at the
What we
same
could
time.
do, there is another way of doing it. Some of our payments are statutory payments. For example, GB Sports and JP Mayo, they are the same amount each month. So that's 12 payments, 10 payments to JP Mayo, 12 payments, that's 22 payments there, which we could set up by standing order. So that would save us 22 payments.
Yes.
So we could do it that way with those payments that we know that are the same.
May I suggest we ask the clerk to investigate
Yes, please.
the most economic way of resolving payments?
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, Peter. Yes.
I'll agree.
I wasn't sure whether that was
Right.
the updated budget. You circulated.
I circulated that. I mean, it's fairly self-explanatory. I've tried to have a stab at forecast. It's not an absolute science. It's basically looking at what we think we're likely to spend by the end of the year. And again, it's really just an update. 3 monthly update. Really.
The forecast is showing 50,000 as
Quite high.
Is that because of the in and out?
Exactly.
The in and out
It's the
of
Crooked
the
Lane. It's the Crooked Lane thing. Actually.
Okay.
But obviously I'll get a more accurate one come September because we will be approaching the 6-month mark, which is always a better indicator of
I also note on your expenses, you are claiming mileage agreed rates, which is based on Burnham-on-Sea to Brent Knoll.
Exactly.
Now,
that will change from Taunton to
Brent
Brent Knoll in the future. Because one of the things about having a look at the local authority regulations on this, you are allowed to claim outside your county boundary, inside your county boundary. So it's the same as when I sit as a magistrate. I'm allowed to claim, if I was sitting in Taunton, for example, I could claim from the Wellington-Ufcombe boundary, which is the Devon boundary, and the same applies to local authorities. So that's why that change will take place from the next quarter, not this quarter.
I'm just mindful that it presumes that you will be travelling here from Taunton
Exactly.
rather than Cornwall,
Exactly.
because otherwise you could have planed from Wellington.
I could have done, but I've been happy with the arrangement so far, but as long as you're happy that the claim from July, from Taunton to Brent Knoll, I'm
I
happy
think,
with
I
that.
think that's fair.
I think you better watch some internet banking.
No, that's right. Matters for consideration where we touched on the painting of the play equipment, so I don't think we need to go down further on that. The working group on neighbourhood planning, I don't know whether we've...
Nobody's fault.
Andrew and I have got in a brief meeting. Then of course I went off on holiday, so nothing has been done since then by me, but another lady, Andrew.
Well, I was asked to put something in the Brent Knoll News,
Yeah,
and that was put in for
oh,
July.
good.
Nobody's responded.
Who did we ask people to get in contact with?
Me.
With you?
Owen.
And the response today is zilch. Are we
Hardly surprising.
Are we surprised?
But it was something that we agreed that we would do.
You're absolutely right, and I think we demonstrated as a result of some of the comments we had from residents earlier.
That we've done it.
And Bob, sorry.
I was only going to say, obviously, I mean, the Brent Knoll News came out around a week ago, so I mean, it may well be by the time we get to our next meeting, you may have had some response, but at least that will give us a reasonable amount of time to then assess what the demand is.
And the desire for a referendum come poll might supersede that particular argument, who knows? So,
We've effectively talked about action to be taken on safety measures, trips, hazards.
so I'll follow up with JP Mayo.
But more importantly, you will maintain some form of log of any
I'll
incidents that
have a look of incidents.
Definitely.
adult exercise equipment.
I drew up this letter which I think I circulated to everybody before I went away on holiday. I wondered what you decided on it.
We decided to present it to
Can you not
council.
go in BK? I see it in BK.
Is it not this one? It will be in the next BK.
Right, are you happy with it as it is?
Yes, I've seen that. So can we defer any comments until we receive feedback?
Yeah.
I think that'd be the way
So
forward.
you've already got it in for the
I've
meeting?
got a half of it, so.
It was brought before council in your absence.
Steering group on affordable housing, you've already reported.
That.
Updating of website.
Yeah, I think John, I think you raised this, didn't you? I think last month, I think, and it was just a question of who should be updating it with Dave, and you know whether it could be a free for all or whether it should be just one person, which is the way it has, or supposedly should have been done up to now. And I'm happy to continue to do that. Dave is always very wary of putting things on the website that haven't come through the parish council, because what he says is, how do I know whether it's a bona fide piece of article or not?
Fake news.
Sorry?
Fake news.
So, I mean, it's a question for you, really. I mean, if you're proposing that you would like a more free for all on website.
My proposal that it needs controlling, and I would say that we maintain the situation as is. Unless anybody disagrees. Working group for a footpath on the A38. We're not building a footpath, are we?
No, but Bob was
All it was
suggesting.
we'll try and sort out a date sometime over the summer just to go and clear the width of the path that's next to the Hales hedge, because it's not the hedge that's causing the problem, it's just the grass has grown out, so that the path is less than half the width that it used to be.
And what happens to the arisings?
They go under the hedge, I would have thought, because it's only a little bit of grass as much as anything that's come out over
So
there.
what needs doing? Is it stripping?
It's just scraping off the tarmac.
Right,
I'll let you know when it's on.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you circulate that and then ask
Yeah.
for volunteers, please? To consider Sid. Now, you know Sid has had an accident and there's no more. And we have a situation where, because it's Germanic and the Germans have withdrawn their support in the UK, we have to deal with Germany, and Owen has spoken to County
Dave Grabham.
and they have had difficulties of therefore washing their hands with that particular supplier. So I think my proposal would be we ask Owen to speak to county and seek alternatives and then come up with costings to replace. In the meantime, to approach our insurers to see what, if anything, we could get from them.
Well, it is certainly covered. I've already spoken to the insurance company, and it is certainly covered by our insurance policy.
Sorry, what actually happened? Do we know how it happened?
I believe
Farm
a farm vehicle hit it, and it was,
Was it you?
Was it again?
I believe, but interestingly enough, it's cited on a post with a 30-mile-an-hour repeater, and I don't think the 30-mile-an-hour repeater was hit, so I suspect it was a wing mirror on either a lorry or a farm vehicle.
I guess one of the things that we're going to have a problem with insurance companies, one of the things, the first question you're going to ask is, well, okay, what was the cost of new? What is the current level of damage? Have you had an estimate for repairing the damage?
Yeah.
Which, of course, we can't do because we've got to send it away to Germany to get it. So unless we get prepared to send it back to Radar Lux in Germany to get a quote, we won't know what the cost of it is. That's going to be our problem, I think.
It almost points to the fact that we might have to bite the bullet and write it off. But, Bob?
Have we tried to make contact with Radar Lux just to find out? Because I know that East Brent had a problem when they first had their supply, because they kept having moisture get into it, and they did send it back and got it refurbed and sent it back to them.
Sent back to them. Yeah, again, I'll go with Jim Murray on that. Actually, I haven't spoken to Jim Murray, but maybe...
I think clearly there's a cost implication of getting it to Germany. How you physically do that, because at the moment, as I understand it, it's literally in a shed or garage or under a tarpaulin.
Yes.
But it must be something Radar Lux have with other people, so there may be a returns.
It would also be interesting to know how many they've got in the UK. I mean, they must have a fair old number in the UK,
Exactly.
I guess. I don't know. Okay, we'll have a look at that.
We covered it.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Brian, anything for matters you
Have we
report?
put in the BKN in for September the 16th meet the councillors? I don't think I wrote anything.
Have we got a date? We have.
September the 16th,
What is that?
meet the councillors.
But the next edition will be out before the start of September.
Shall I write something?
I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that.
The deadline is until 15th of
How are we
August.
going to lure them in?
3K
Jenny, can we book the room, please?
Have we not booked that already?
We may have done. Can you let me know?
Well,
If we
We've booked
haven't.
that already, haven't we?
16th September.
yeah, I've got it. I've booked it. It's just a question of telling everybody.
Don't get it, what's your
Anything else, Brian?
No, thank you.
David? Bella?
No, thank you. No.
I haven't. John?
Two small points, please, for the next meeting. One is the telephone box is looking a dreadful mess. I don't know what we've decided to do with it. And secondly, it did occur to me whether we should consider running another CPR course in the near future.
In the winter.
Doesn't matter, but I think CPR is probably quite a good idea. When was the last one? So I think we did have one
It was last year.
last year. Well, I think we should can maybe be considered at the next meeting. That's enough from me. Thank you.
Can I just say something about the telephone box, because actually it's out of our hands. I can't do any more about it, because unless Caroline can find the right paperwork to send to BT, they won't even talk to me. I've tried, they won't even listen. Because it says it's not on your land. You can't do any good. So unless we can find some way of helping Caroline get the appropriate paperwork, I'm not sure how we can move forward on it.
Well, I thought we were going to dig it up and take it away if we didn't.
Well, no, they did say they wouldn't, because we'd actually indicated that there was a desire
Well,
to
probably
take
a
it
nice
over.
idea. If we did have some plans to what we'll do with it, then let's get in touch with Caroline and see what we can do. But it does need doing. I mean, if nothing else.
Yeah, but the legal agreement between BT and
Defibrillator.
the owner has to be sorted.
actually.
Yeah, defibrillator.
For posterity, by the way, I've got a watercolour painting of it, which is
Oh, yes, in
on
the pub.
display in the red cup.
Sorry.
Very good.
Colin, anything?
No.
Very good.
Yes, I'd like to know why Bob's wearing a tie.
It's important. Have you not noticed the logo on it?
Perhaps invited to get
That's a
scratched.
county
Peter,
Yeah.
some of us do set the standard and others
Well,
follow.
that's it, I want to do
It's
it.
important.
That's the county councillors type people.
No.
Cynthia, anything?
No.
Bob? Well, with that, we'll close the meeting. Thank you.
I'll have some.
Well done.